this week in my game, I've made a couple improvements and edits from what I had last week. One of the things is working on that back wall texture, so instead of it just being the default pink, I've modeled it out just a simple cube and then added a texture to it. So I have this brick wall texture I've made. There's a couple different like maps on there to get different textures, and then I also added a height map to it so I can change the brick height on there. So you can see that here if I move the height map up and down, it kind of give it some density there and make it look a little bit more realistic. And then if we redo that, I've exported it out into my game. It's a bit hard to see in there based on the distance of my buildings, but if we hit play here, we can see that change, as well as a couple others I'll go over just in a second. So you can kind of see it behind the wall. I'm contemplating spreading my buildings out a little bit so you can see it, and I can fill in kind of that space with some more assets as well if I have time. So that might be something to change as I kind of start filling out the rest of my tasks. One of the things I'm still working on is getting the signage for the buildings. That should be fairly straightforward. I just need to get a tablet, hook that up, and then just do a hand-painted texture for the text. That way it feels kind of cohesive with everything, and I think it's the easiest way of getting some text on there. I don't feel like messing around with making it a UI element at all, I don't think. And then if we go back here, I've knocked down the height of it so it kind of ends right here, and I might pull that back a little bit more as well. One of the big things I've done is fixed the walk cycle for the character, so she'll stop now. So we can kind of move her around, and now she kind of goes into this idle pose and then back into walking. So that was a fairly straightforward fix, just had to model that pose first. Then we can see her walk here. It's not perfect because of the way the sweatshirt is modeled, but that's okay. And then I also added in the sky dome, so if we exit out of here and hop back into just the scene, my bad, not that far, I have it up here as the sky dome. That is just a sphere that I have the texture on, so that way I can move it up and down, and that helps kind of make it feel a bit more realistic with the gradient. And I like it a little bit better than messing around with it in the actual like rendering settings with the lighting. And then I just threw on the directional light as well and edited that to make it look good. I like the crash shadows from the fence. It is a little bit bright, so I'm kind of playing around with changing that. I feel like it's a bit too saturated, so we might knock that down just a little bit now. And then maybe add a little bit of yellow to it, and that sometimes helps make it feel a little bit more realistic. We'll leave that for now and see if we like that. The thing I have been struggling to get working is the calendar. So currently, if we go and plant an item, the calendar will show the date it's supposed to be done. I've run through a couple different scripts trying to edit that in various degrees of success, so I can get it to show that it's ready on this date, and then if you hit the next button here that I have temporarily, it'll push it out, which is great for when you don't water it. It's still doing that though when it is watered, so I'm working through that solution right now and seeing if I can't come up with something. If I don't, I might just turn off the calendar until I get it fixed and then push an update to the game later on. So that's one of the things, and then I'm working on getting the purchase bed set up as well. That was another script that was giving me some trouble trying to connect that to the purchasable, so I might shift my focus and start working there. From the list of things that I have left to do, audio is the last kind of major hurdle other than the two scripts. Once I get that done, the game will start to feel definitely a lot more fleshed out. I still need to make some side posts for the fence. I want it to feel kind of more intentional than just kind of tacked on at the end. So I was going to make 2 side posts, which I have done already, and then just connect a banner across so it just feels like you're entering in another area a bit better. The shop is all working. I think I fixed that in the last week, but everything is still purchasable as it was. golden stuff discounts. I added a kind of temporary name for it, the main character, that's Maven. I don't know if I love the title, but it's better than just kind of a default general text that was on there, at least. And then I'm still kind of working on maybe making a better UI for this. I just don't think it feels very finished yet. The other thing I need to work on is this new game button. It just needs to reset the scriptable objects in the beds, which should be hopefully fairly straightforward. The scriptable objects will be the resetting of the beds, hopefully should be as well, because there's triggered in the script similar to when you mature a plant all the way and collect it, it resets. So those are kind of where I'm at for the updates and what needs to be done. The hope is that I can have all of that done by, or at least half of it done by the 7th, which is in a couple days here, and that'll come up on a Monday, I believe, and then from there it'll give me a week or so before I want to get this published onto the Google Play Store. So that's a little insight into what next week is going to